Hi. In today's video, I'm going to keep it super short and I want to talk about perimenopause and menopause and all the myths. Now, I know that there's a gazillion videos out there on the same subject. However, and I'm going to make a longer one where I'm going to go into more detail in explaining why most of the information, the overwhelming majority of the videos out there about perimenopause and menopause, what doctors are saying about it, what supposed perimenopause and menopause experts are saying is BS. And we're falling for it. Now, I want to clarify here. When I say BS, it's BS in the bigger picture. Because, yes, of course, we can treat perimenopause and menopause like a disease, like something that isn't supposed to happen. And there are actually doctors that are ridiculous enough to make statements like aging is a disease, and we are, as women, we are basically no longer needed after our fertile years, and perimenopause and menopause is kind of telling us that, and then unless we take hormones, we're pretty much screwed because our body doesn't make hormones anymore. I mean, that is such a complete and utter plain lie, because the reality is that we are not, if we were healthy, balanced, if our liver would not be stagnant but vibrantly working, if our adrenals would not be drained and battered, if our whole endocrine system would be on point, we would not suffer from perimenopause and menopause. So that is something that we need to understand. The only reason why we suffer all these hectic symptoms, and I've been in the groups talking about perimenopause and menopause for the last 3 years because that's when I realized that I was kind of starting to go through it. So I heard all the talk about it, you know. Um, Ladies, if you're experiencing all these symptoms and you're crying every day and you think you're going crazy and you just want to leave everybody, it's like that is not normal. What's normal is, of course, having some symptoms. Yes, that is normal, and that does not need to be pathologized. And that's simply, just as being a teenager, it's got its difficulties. I mean, in some ways, every age has its difficulties. Why? Because we're constantly changing and evolving and growing. Every age has its beauty and its difficulties. And as we know, teenage years can be difficult. But here also, I want to say, most of what we accuse teenagers to go through, oh, wait, for years I've heard, wait until your kids are teenagers, oh my god, it's those raging hormones, and you'll see, Alex. I don't know, I'm still waiting. I mean, my kids are 14 and 16, and they're, yes, I can see certain changes, but it's not this like radical thing. There's no radical pimples. There's an occasional little thing. It lasts a day and boom, it's gone. But that is because they're relatively healthy. They're far from perfect, but they're relatively healthy. And so when our gut microbiome is good, solid, diverse, healthy, and strong, when our liver is strong, when our adrenals are strong, when our kidneys are healthy, and ultimately when our whole endocrine system is strong and functioning, we're not going to have any outrageous symptoms. We're simply going to go through the motions. We may notice this, that, or the other. Yes, that is normal, but it's not going to be this earth-shattering experience. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that because so many women do experience earth-shattering symptoms, that and I feel for them, and I had a little taste of them. And I will, in my longer video, explain more in depth how can you regenerate your body. And for me, it's not even about rejuvenation, because there's also this whole idea we need to look young, we need to be young. Well, I mean, I'll turn 50 in 6 months. So what? You know, I don't mind looking looking 50. Like, also, what does it mean? We have all these ideas. So so first of all, we need to let go of this whole idea of rejuvenating, which, even though I do use that word sometimes, but it's more like on a physical level. So we need to get ourselves well, because we need to understand that whenever we have symptoms, the sleepless nights, the weight gain, the night sweats, the hot flushes, the brain fog, etc., low thyroid, etc., etc., etc. Those are all symptoms of a body that is degenerate. Not because you're going through perimenopause, not because you're entering menopause, not because your body is stopping to make hormones, because that is nonsense. Why? Because when a body is healthy, like I said, when the liver is functioning and when the adrenals are functioning, the adrenals are meant to take over some of the hormonal productions. The adrenals produce hormones for us, as do other endocrine glands. The pituitary gland has a huge responsibility, for example. And of course, liver metabolizes hormones, and even our fatty tissue produces some hormones. Now, doctors will say, oh, but not nearly enough. But who says? That's also not true. Because the reality is that as we exit our reproductive years, actually, ancient medicine says that we actually acquire, of course, after an initial reset, we acquire energy, power, which, I mean, come on, that's logical. For so many years, we were in giving mode, in preparation of a potential pregnancy, and in giving mode. Now, as that stops, all that energy can be cultivated and circulated within us. And it's absolutely not true that we need the same hormone levels as we age after we stop being fertile. We do not need the same level of hormones. So, are some things going to change? Well, thank goodness. Yes, they are. But medicine makes it out as if that is a terrible thing with all these consequences. And that simply is not true. So if you want to hear more, look for my longer video on perimenopause and menopause, and how you can actually claim back your true power, because going on HRT is not true empowerment. Now, by all means, if you're in a position where, for whatever reason, maybe right now you can't tend to your regenerative process and you need HRT as a crutch, I get it. And or if, for whatever reason, you don't have the mental, emotional strength, capacity for the next 3 years to regenerate your body and you need to use HRT as a crutch, or if you simply say, you know what, I don't care, I don't want to go through the process of regenerating my body, I just want to use medicine, great. We need to speak the truth. And I'm not saying so much you, I'm saying when doctors and practitioners explain it to us, that's how it should be explained to us. We should say, well, HRT is a fantastic band-aid. It's a fantastic crutch. It has quite a few consequences, and it brings weakening to the body in certain areas. But overall, like all things, we always need to balance things out. We need to weigh things up. But that is the problem, is that we don't get the full message. but rather we are bombarded, especially recently more and more, with this message that basically tells us, and I've had doctors that I've kind of, tried to fight with, even though I know it's completely futile. I've had them plain out tell me, well, Alex, when you're going to be sitting there old in your diapers, unable to move, you wish you would have listened to me. It's like, please. I mean, to even make such a statement is completely ridiculous. But I'll stop here so that this can be just a short intro of what I have to share with you. And in the longer video, I will go deeply into what you can do, first of all, to understand what's really happening in your body, why you have all those symptoms, and why hormones are not the problem. They're the trigger, right? They're the trigger for sure. But if your whole body would be healthy, you would not have such a bad time. And on the other hand, of course, what can we do to truly empower ourselves, to truly claim back our lives? And what is the timeline? Because we need to get out of the mindset that, oh, I messed up my health for 48 years. Now I want to claim it back in 3 months. It's not going to happen, right? But you can give yourself 9 months, 12 and 18 months, and come out the other side and go, wow, now I'm truly empowered. And that's just the beginning. Because once you start the journey, the beauty of the process of true cellular regeneration is that it gets better and better and better as we age, instead of worse and worse and worse as we age. And that is on a true embodied level, not just as a pretty shell, but from the inside, where we go, wow, I was looking for this when I was in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. I've never felt this good. And that is possible for all of us. Sending you all my love and seeing you in the longer video.